Hello, and welcome to SomaVerse. This is a space where fascinating discoveries, hidden truths, and surprising research about the human body and health are all uncovered. Here, it's never just the facts, as it's also about the stories that reveal the strange, powerful, and often overlooked science that shapes our lives. And before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. I am not a medical doctor, and this podcast is not medical advice. It's for informational purposes only, and all the research sources are linked in the description box down below for you to explore in your own time. Now, let's dive in. Today, in our first ever podcast episode, we're exploring something that feels part science, part magic. It's the relationship between sleep and sunlight. Imagine waking with the sunrise, energy surging, or struggling to sleep after an evening of screen time. What secret dance between light and our brains causes these effects? Let's journey through these 4 key insights, from the master clock within our brain, to the power of morning light, the double-edged sword of blue light, and finally, a myth-busting lunar surprise. Deep inside your brain lives a master clock, a tiny cluster of cells in the hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the SCN. Think of it as a little conductor orchestrating a 24-hour symphony of hormones and signals. This master clock coordinates everything from the timing of meals and body temperature to when you feel alert or sleepy. For example, it directs your endocrine system to release hormones like cortisol in the early morning, giving you a natural energy boost to start the day. As it turns to night, the master clock, however, switches gears, triggering the release of melatonin, which is the hormone that gently nudges you towards sleep. What's truly fascinating, though, is how light guides this internal clock. The SCN is extremely sensitive to light signals from your eyes. In essence, sunrise and morning light send a powerful wake-up signal to the SCN, while darkness signals it to the night shift. This daily light cue keeps your roughly 24.2 natural hour rhythm aligned with the 24-hour day. When everything is in sync, your body times its energy peaks and dips perfectly. You wake up refreshed, stay alert through the day, then wind down at night. In short, your brain's master clock, guided by sunlight, is running the show of your energy levels every single day. Now, ever notice how stepping outside into the morning sun can make you feel more awake? Well, science says this is no coincidence at all, as early light exposure has remarkable effects, and we have real studies to prove it. Picture a recent experiment where a group of college students spent a week getting bright morning light for 90 minutes each day. The results were eye-opening. Those students fell asleep faster at night, spent more of their time in bed actually sleeping, which correlated to higher sleep efficiency, and even woke up feeling less groggy. In fact, just 5 days of morning light boosted their sleep quality significantly compared to the days with normal indoor light only. These findings echo a broader trend researchers have observed. Multiple studies have found that people who get more daylight during the day tend to sleep longer and more soundly at night. Morning sunlight essentially acts as a strong anchor for your circadian rhythm, telling your body it's the start of a new day, so that about 14 to 16 hours later it knows to trigger sleep. By aligning your internal clock, morning light exposure can help you fall asleep earlier and improve your overall sleep quality. It even has mood benefits, such as because early sunlight causes a spike in serotonin, which is a feel-good neurotransmitter that boosts your mood and later converts into melatonin to help you sleep better. In one sense, morning light is like nature's cup of coffee, energizing you now, then quietly preparing you for better sleep later. It's a simple, free, yet powerful factor that many of us underutilize. As one Stanford sleep expert puts it, making a habit of morning and daytime sun may be, quote, the first step in a healthier relationship with sleep. Now, let's talk about blue light. It's the kind of bright, short wavelength light that daylight is full of, and that our device screens and LED bulbs also emit. Blue light is a bit of a double agent in our story, as during the day, blue light is actually beneficial as it boosts alertness, reaction times, and even mood, reinforcing that it is daytime. But when blue light shows up at the wrong time, let's say late at night when we're scrolling at 2 in the morning when we should actually be sleeping, well, yeah, it could actually wreak havoc on our sleep for obvious reasons. Let's get into it. Any bright light at night confuses your brain's clock, but blue light does it most powerfully. Light exposure suppresses the release of melatonin, and the hormone, which is a hormone that tells your body it's nighttime. Even a fairly dim light can measurably blunt your melatonin and shift your circadian rhythm. Blue wavelengths are so potent that in one Harvard experiment, researchers found that 6.5 hours of blue light exposure at night suppressed people's melatonin for about twice as long as the same brightness of green light did, and shifted their body's internal clock by 3 hours. In other words, blue light late at night tricks your brain into thinking the sun is still up, essentially resetting your sleep schedule in the worst way possible. Over time, the impacts are significant. A 2024 review of research concluded that prolonged evening blue light exposure can delay the start of your sleep and shorten the total time you sleep and reduce sleep quality, largely by suppressing melatonin and disrupting your natural rhythm. It's the reason scrolling your phone or working on a laptop at midnight might leave you staring at the ceiling later and cause you to wreak havoc on your sleep. Your brain, drenched in that blue glow, stays in daytime mode when it should be powering down. This isn't to demonize blue light entirely, because remember, it's great in the morning and daytime, but at night it's truly a foe of good sleep. So the take-home lesson here from these findings is that it is neutral, but an important one. Light is a powerful influence on our biology, and it just goes to show that timing is just really everything. And now for our final insight, let's turn to something a bit more mysterious. Because for centuries, folklore has suggested that a full moon can actually disrupt sleep or make people restless. Yes, tales of lunacy under lunar light. It sounds like a myth, but modern research has uncovered a fascinating nugget of truth here. In an extraordinary study, scientists in Switzerland looked back at data from volunteers who had slept in a controlled lab with no windows or knowledge of time. They discovered that around the time of the full moon, these people experienced noticeable changes in sleep. They took about 5 minutes longer to fall asleep, slept 20 minutes less overall, and had 30% less deep sleep than on other nights. What's more is that their melatonin levels dipped around the full moon, even though they were in total darkness in the lab. The participants and researchers didn't even know a full moon was occurring, yet the pattern was still there, almost as if our bodies quietly remember the moon. Now, this finding, as surprising as it is, was the first solid evidence that the lunar cycle can influence human sleep under controlled conditions. Scientists are still investigating why this exactly happens, and one idea that's surfacing is that before electric lighting, bright moonlight, especially a full moon after just dusk, would naturally extend our waking period for safety or social activity, and our circadian rhythm may have retained a vestige of that rhythm. Whatever the cause, it's a reminder that sleep and light have many layers. Sunlight is the dominant player, but even the softer, ancient cycle of the moon can tug at our sleep in subtle ways. So how's that for blending a little mystery with science? Well, that's all for this episode of SomaVerse. Thanks for tuning in our first ever episode. We've journeyed through how our brain's master clock uses sunlight to sync our energy, how morning light can enhance your sleep, and why blue light at the wrong time is trouble, and finally even a lunar twist on our sleep patterns. So if you're hungry to learn more, every research source I mentioned is linked in the description box down below, so feel free to check them out and read further into these studies in your own time. And remember, again, this podcast is for information purposes only and not medical advice. So I hope you found these insights intriguing and empowering. And always consult a professional for personal health decisions as well. And lastly, thank you for listening and diving into the science and, a bit of mystery of sleep and sunlight. So stay curious, keep exploring, and until next time, sleep well.